There is no God. That's a fact.
I made it up.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
Matt Steiny and Larry Kruger with you, and we're joined by Dan Dibley and Mark Willard on the crossover. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
It all starts in 2 days, right?
Hey.
2 days.
Yes, absolutely.
2 days.
Chiefs, Lions, just...
Maybe no Kelsey.
You weren't... I know. You
Who's got him?
Let's not...
Maybe
Who's got him?
extension.
Let's talk about Bosa.
Let's talk about Bosa.
Are either of you guys concerned at this point?
I've been concerned, yes. I've been concerned for a long time, and, you know, Captain Water Off a Duck's Back over here has not been concerned.
Still not.
But here we are Tuesday.
Yeah.
And at what point will you be concerned?
Okay, I guess I have to re-ask. I need a follow-up question to your question.
Man.
Concerned
okay.
about what? Concerned about missing week one?
Concerned
that he's not going to ever come to an agreement with the 49ers? Concerned that what?
Concerned that Nick Bosa and his situation will negatively impact the 49ers this year.
That could be an injury. Yeah.
That's an interesting question.
Thank you.
Yeah, and sure, it's possible that it already has. It's possible that it already has. Am I concerned at them coming to an agreement? No. And
why?
Well, first of all, because deadlines spur action, and we're still not there. Let's not act like there isn't precedent. T.J. Watt, final days. Aaron Donald, final days. Emmitt Smith, week 3.
But they held in. I mean, not Emmett, but those other two guys held in. They were there.
I understand, but this is also like the other reason. Well, I mean, multiple reasons actually, but they're sort of overlapping. This has not been an angry in the media sort of like public debate.
Lynch set the parameters well.
You also have a number of high-level, dialed-in reporters who over the last week have stated, like, Josina Anderson went into the weekend and went, Nick Bosa can have a relaxing 3-day weekend knowing that this is going to get done. Like, the Niners, by every report, are not in a spot where they're like, bleep you, what are you asking for? The Niners are offering to make him, at minimum, the highest paid pass rusher in the history of the game. And in fact, it sounds like it's trending toward they're willing to get above Aaron Donald as well. And from everything I hear and read, it sounds like this is stuck on some of that more complex stuff. You know, whether this is the structure of it, is it
the guarantee?
Is it the guarantee? I don't know. And I would be shocked. Like, I just keep falling back on the Bosas aren't stupid and the Niners aren't stupid. Are both of them stubborn? You could make that argument. But neither side is poorly run.
Do you agree with my statement to Steiny that the number is going to really impact the public's view of this thing? For example, 102 guaranteed is Joey Bosa's record number. If the deal gets done, whether it gets done on time or not on time, and that guarantee is $105 million, don't you think the Niners are going to look really silly for battling like crazy for $3 million? To me, if it's like 140 or 130 or 125 and it just blows out the 102 guarantee, that at least would, and somebody caves, that at least would indicate that there's a pretty wide divide between 102 and 125.
I wonder what you guys think about this. Like, I think the line is getting blurred, Nick Bosa being one of the reasons why, between non-quarterbacks and quarterbacks. If quarterbacks can go get all guaranteed, the whole thing.
Right.
Who's the first non-quarterback to cross that line? Kirk Cousins was the one who did it for quarterbacks. Somewhere along the road, you're going to have a non-quarterback do it. Is this the guy? I don't know, and I don't think fans actually would be bothered if the answer was yes. I look at it more in terms of AAV, and I know that that's not the guarantee.
Right.
But I feel like this is about, do you get him above Donald or do you get him below Donald? I think you can get him above Donald, but to me, the number feels like 32. And if Nick is demanding 35, Nick's wrong. But if the 49ers are demanding 30, then they're wrong. And so I think from that perspective, that's how fans will sort of view it.
Well, the report last week was that they were maybe $4 million apart. So if Nick is asking for 34 and they're offering 30 or whatever that number is, $4 million's a lot. And you guys said that earlier in terms of, 5 years, that's $20 million.
I think the sticking point is the guaranteed. And I think that that's where the Niners are probably blushing, because if you're Nick Bosa and you know that you have multiple ACL tears in your history, forget the fact that you're only 25. I would look for more guaranteed. If I'm a guy who's had 2 ACL injuries and a third major injury along the way, I'd want more guaranteed money than ever before.
You have 2?
I think he had 1 in high school, 1 in college.
I think
George ACL in high school? Yeah, I didn't know that.
I think Dibs is right. He also had the missed a full year because of a core muscle deal at Ohio State.
Wow.
So there's a chance that he wants guaranteed.
Air quotes, missed a full year.
But
Well, he did miss a full year.
Yeah, because he wanted to be ready for the NFL
Here's the
draft.
bigger question, I
Sure.
think. What if they sign him and he gets hurt and it's a soft tissue type tear? You know, I mean, then it's like, well, wait a second, man. You let this thing drag on, then you didn't get it signed, and now you maybe signs on a Friday night and you play him on Sunday and he has a significant injury. They're going to look really bad on that front.
Well, of course they will. This fan base has never been fair to them about injuries. I don't know why they would start now. But the bottom line is if he signs late, then it's going to be on the 49ers to do everything in terms of examining him physically to decide whether or not what he's been doing up till now has him football ready. And if not, sit out a week. One game.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Steiny said sit him out for 2.
Well, if
No, and I liked it.
until he's ready to
I liked
play.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
He'll be ready.
my
He'll come in
question,
and shoot.
my question is,
yeah.
what do you think about the years? If you're Nick Bosa, you're going to be 26, I think, in 2 months. Do you want a 5 or 6 year deal?
You want 5, yeah.
Or do you want a 3-year deal knowing I'm coming back to the table at 28, 29?
Probably 5, just because that's what gets that guarantee even higher. Like Aaron Donald did the 3 because he's older.
Right.
I'd be shocked if he wanted something less than 5. You know, you want as many as you can get in football. You know, I know what you're
You would
thinking.
think.
Come back to the table in 3 years, one football.
And I want to be the highest paid defensive player
I'm
again.
not planning 3 years ahead in football.
You're
I'm
probably
getting
right.
every dollar I can get
you might
right
not
now.
even be 3 weeks ahead.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yeah. Is
you
your
know,
body still intact in 3 years?
Here's the other question. Are they a super... I mean, their defensive ends beyond Bosa are all guys that have a question mark attached to them. Can Drake play a full schedule? Is Kerry Hyder too old? What's Austin Bryant? Cleveland Farrell has 10 sacks in 4 seasons. I don't know. I mean, that's why I think he's got them over a barrel, because their collection of defensive ends without him, I don't know, get it done.
Right, but what happens if they don't sign him and he goes out and they win in Pittsburgh and they get 4.5 or they get 5 sacks as a team and they go out and they beat the Steelers? Does that hurt his ability to get max money based on 1 week?
I would say probably not.
Right.
I would say probably not. And then John Lynch has made it really clear, and so Shanahan, that they are not entertaining trades. And this is really too late to entertain trades. But, I mean, I wonder if things don't get done, do they revisit that? I could imagine the Jets, who saved a lot of money on the Aaron Rodgers deal, they have enough money to take him on. The Dolphins probably could make it work as well. He's a Florida guy, as I said, all about taxes and California taxes. I mean, Joey plays for the Chargers, so you would think no. But I wonder on that. I know they want to send out the message that, no, we're not interested in trading him. I just kind of wonder if this thing doesn't get done in the next few days, if they will change their tune on that.
I am not of a mind of even considering that. I think it would be an absolutely colossal mistake to trade Nick Bosa.
But you don't even know what you're getting. You just mean just the idea of it.
No, I don't care what I'm
What could
getting.
you get?
I don't care what I'm getting.
I don't know, but I mean, I'm like, give you an example. The Dolphins did not sign Christian Wilkins. They have Jalen Phillips. If you sent those 2 guys in a number 1, that would be interesting to me. The Jets have Will McDonald, who played at Iowa State, looked great in the preseason. They have Jermaine Johnson.
But you realize you're
They've got-
saying names that most people not named Larry Krueger have never even heard of.
I know.
No. Like, I'm just
No,
being
I know.
straight with you.
No, I know. I know the
I don't-
pushback
I
from the
don't-
fans,
I don't
but as
wanna-
far as depth goes,
But I don't want to
there's some good
trade.
players.
If you trade Nick Bosa, this is the whole Draymond conversation from last year. Remember when Monty Poole came on our show? It's like, if you get rid of Draymond, the first thing you're doing is looking for another Draymond. I'm going to trade Nick Bosa. You're looking for Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
This is an irreplaceable 25-year-old superstar pass rusher on the end. It is the number one thing coaches are looking for on the defensive end. He has a trickle down on every other player on this team.
I love it.
He's imperative.
And pay him.
And absolutely nothing.
Sounds like a $35 million player.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, but no, because
that's
such a thing doesn't exist.
Well,
It doesn't exist.
It does when they
Bosa's
pay him.
never
It will
existed
someday.
before.
Yeah, but
No,
a $32 million
All that
player
rhetoric
never
right there
exists.
was your pitch to them to just pay him instead of them.
No, it's
they're
not,
trying to
though.
nickel and dime him. And,
You don't know that.
Well,
you don't know that.
I know that they're not trying to pay him what he's asking.
Look, I
and
think
based
here's
on
the-
what you just laid out, all what I heard you say is you can't replace him, so pay him.
No, but that's not how business works. Where I've agreed
Right.
with you all along is that there should be no trade. Nick has leverage over the 49ers that they do not have over him. I agree with all of those things. That does not mean you walk into the room and just go, okay, Nick, whatever you say, because that's just that you can't do that. You don't do business that way. The precedent it sets is terrible. Yes, I heard what you said, Larry. I said the same thing last week in many ways, like asking the question, if this means 3 of your other favorite players now don't get to be on the 49ers, do you still think they should just give him $36 million? I don't think it works that way. 32 would be the highest any non-quarterback has ever gotten. If you're Nick, how can you bend the Niners over for more than that?
Is there any chance? I mean, first of all, he had 0 sacks in the playoffs, so that's one thing. But and maybe the Niners brought that up in negotiations. Maybe Parag brought up,
not.
and maybe Parag brought up the fact that he's had some injuries. Is there any chance that the agent is playing hyper hardball, and as soon as the Lance trade came down, the ask went up? Because it does seem weird. 'Cause 10 days ago, Kyle Shanahan was like, hey, are you surprised this is here? He's like, no, I'm actually really not surprised.
Yeah.
Well, they went from not surprised to now we're 4 or 5 days away from the opener, and he's still not signed. And I'm just kind of wondering, agents play hardball. What if the day they traded Lance, the agent said, you know what, Nick, they're not going to trade 2 guys within 10 days that they drafted in the top 3 of the draft. It's awful PR. So now we're going to ask for more, and they're going to have to give it to us because they're already on the record saying they're not going to trade you. I mean, that level of hardball
That feels
is sometimes
disingenuous, don't you think?
It does.
And I don't, and that's what
but
I
I
mean.
don't know the agent's.
I don't-
ethics
That's
at
just all business. And the team has already turtled up from day one saying, oh, we're not going to fine him for any missed time.
Well-
so the team already put themselves in a soft position
Why is that turtle up?
because
Why is that turtle up?
you didn't have to do that. They
But
gave him that.
that's a good thing.
It's a good thing, but now he's still not signed.
Right,
so
but
they
like,
took
It's
that
a
and they're
good
using it
thing if
against
they're
him.
not playing. If the agent's not playing super
Exactly.
I think this would have sounded different if it was like that. You have watched what has looked like a respectful negotiation the whole time. Nobody's tried to negotiate in the media. And
Right.
and if if someone's doing crap like that behind the scenes, I think you would have.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. I have a theory on why a lot hasn't gotten out. I don't think they've talked a lot. I think there's been a lot of dead time. I think it feels like they've just kind of re-engaged because, as Larry was saying, it feels like things have just gotten a little more serious, or maybe significantly more serious in the last week or so. So I wonder if they haven't been talking because they were far apart, and now both sides are getting back into the room and realizing they're far apart, and they got to figure it out in a hurry.
The other thing I threw out to Steiny, guys, and I kind of really believe this. I think Kyle, John, and Jed, or Kyle, John, and Parag, all have different scorecards that are all judged by Jed. And I think Kyle's is about winning games. I think John's is about making trades. They just sent Trey to Dallas for a 4th as opposed to a 6th. So I think it really mattered that they got the best compensation. And I think Parag's lane is contract negotiations. And I think he badly wants to win here. And I would say, Parag, you've won a ton of negotiations. Maybe you're not going to win this one because you don't have tons of leverage. And you got a player, and you got you're in your window for the Super Bowl, and you got the Eagles staring you down. I just kind of wonder if Parag, who I don't even know is the point man on the negotiations, he may not be, but I think that how he's evaluated are the contracts solely,
Right.
And maybe he's thinking of how he's going to be evaluated by ownership on this
Maybe.
one.
It just feels like a dangerous game. This is not one for games. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if this is the two sides have turned their backs on one another with their arms folded, or if, as I said off the top, and this is still my sense, the deadline spur action. Like, if you ask me right now if I think Nick Bosa is playing this weekend, I'll say yes.
So what's the deadline for him to play this weekend?
Well, that's up to them. But I mean,
Like, what do you think in terms of, like, you say deadline spur action? What's that deadline in your mind?
I would say he needs to be in Santa Clara by, if not Thursday, by Friday. And if he's been doing all the right things in the offseason, we have no reason to think that he hasn't been. I mean, plug and play.
He might not even be in Santa Clara. He might just fly right from Florida.
Right.
It's a lot of jet lag. He's going Miami to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Signed a contract.
I'm thinking
press
Friday
conference.
night.
Oof.
Well, he can afford a good flight. Wow. Upgrade the seat. But yeah, I still think this gets done because those names you just brought up. I have respect for those names. I have respect for Bosa and his agent. These are smart people, and I know we love in the media and even fans, we love to look at this and pretend like this is a video game, and it's not. The Niners organization's got a season to play. Nick has a season to play. These two sides have not been arguing with one another for 4 years. They have a track record here, both sides. I just feel like there are very smart brains, and all sides should realize that, quite frankly, nobody wins if this goes 5 weeks into the season. I mean, the amount of money Nick's trying to squeeze for, what does he lose per weekend?
I think over $1 million.
Right. So if you're $4 million apart, right, and that's $20 million over the life of the deal, and you make $17 million a year, that's $1 million a weekend. What are you going to blow while you're trying to get $10 million more? You're going to blow $8 million to get there? Like, that's stupid. Why would anyone do that?
Well,
I think the number
unless he feels principled.
Maybe.
The number
and
I'm
then he
looking
could
for
just
is
show up
guaranteed.
anyway. I mean, he's under contract. He could show up
right.
and not play. Oh, I got a hammy or I got a groin.
Yeah.
I would
I
say
mean, there are
called an
ways that he
adductor.
can still get his
Adductor.
money.
I know, but it's
Thank
just,
you, the adductor.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like one of those situations here.
It doesn't.
If I
It
had
doesn't.
a bet, though, I would bet. I think he's going to miss the first game at least.
Might.
Because even if they sign him now, what's the sense?
Well, I can't
You
speak
put
to
him
whether,
out there.
do you put him out right away?
I
My
would.
sense is he's signed by this weekend.
What,
Do you play him?
man,
That's up to the situation.
fair.
If we're going
I
one
wouldn't.
number, the record for DNs is Joey, 102.
You're talking about guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Not,
Guaranteed.
not AAV. That's
What
TJ.
what do you think that guaranteed number will be when the deal is done?
It's 110. He gets 5 and 160, and 110's guaranteed. He gets 32 per, and I put the guarantee at 110.
I'm going to say 115. I think the guarantee is going to be higher because I think they're asking for a ton. I think the guarantee ask is probably 125.
I heard you earlier talking about like a fully guaranteed deal, like maybe
that was a Middlecoff and
And it's-
Haberman thing where Middlecoff was speculating maybe 140, 150 in that range as
Well,
an ask.
those two
on the
things are
guarantee.
attached, right? If you get 32 a year, maybe the guarantee is a little bit less. If you accept 30 a year and you're just the top pass rusher, not
Right.
the top defensive player, then maybe your guarantee goes up. But yeah, it feels like a 120.
120 a
Feels like
guarantee.
120.
What is
That would
the
be
team-
Kinda what I
way,
think.
that'd be huge.
I wonder what the team is more amenable toward: a higher guarantee with
Yeah.
a smaller AAV, or a larger AAV with a smaller guarantee.
Probably
Like,
larger AAV and a smaller guarantee.
Exactly.
If I know the Niners.
That's why I think that it would be 5 and 160 with 110 guaranteed, or maybe even 5 and 165. That way, hey, you play all 5 and you hit all your bonuses, you're going to get your 165, but we're on the hook for 110 in case you do break down. And, Nick's got a couple of injuries he's had to work through in his whole career. So maybe that's a thing where the team wants that protection.
You know what the thing is interesting there? You always have to protect yourself from injury, right? That could happen to any player.
Sure.
But the other reason, a la, say, like D Ford, like you also have to protect yourself against a player getting older and becoming surprisingly ineffective. And I don't think that's any risk here at all.
No.
Like
I don't-
you
I
are
agree.
signing
At
a guy.
25,
You're
right?
right. You're
26.
signing a guy only
agree.
until he is 30 years old, and he is Nick freaking Bosa. Could he get hurt? Sure, he could get hurt. But that's why I'm like, if this is about guarantees, do it. Because you're not going to sour on the player. You may get unlucky, but you're not going to get 3
Right.
years
He's
in
not
and
gonna
go,
fall off a cliff.
we'd like to release him.
Sure.
You're
Right.
not going to do that.
Right.
So let's go.
Get it done.
Let's go.
Well, why is it so damn hard? We just
I don't
worked it
know.
all out.
Well, it's hard because,
Call him. Call Parag.
As we look at the cap, and I do think the interesting name and all of that, and you guys threw out like all the players in the future. To me, the most interesting one is George Kittle because you drafted 2 tight ends. And George Kittle's a guy who's not even cleared yet on my fantasy team for week 1. So you've got a tight end who's about to be 30, a guy who's had a ton of injuries, and his number is going to be a big number. And you drafted 2 young replacement level tight ends. So for me, the more money Bosa gets, that might actually affect George Kittle more than Brandon Ayuk.
And Juszczyk. I mean, they got Coletto for next year.
Exactly, right?
But
That
to
would
me,
break Steiny's heart. He's a big Juszczyk guy.
and
Sorry,
Ayuk,
no comment.
to me, Ayuk is the one that the fans would be like, hey, because Ayuk, based in, if he looks in the regular season,
No,
like
I
he
heard
looked
this earlier.
summer,
Don't say it now because I'm going to steal it for
he
3:30.
looks really, really
He
good.
looks
Yeah, boy.
fantastic.
Yeah.
If he has the year, and obviously that's the thing about a receiver is it's dependent on other things, right? If the quarterback's playing well, if he's being well protected, then and you're blessed with health, I think Brandon Ayuk is a 12 to 1,300 yard receiver.
Yeah.
I think he has.
It
that
looks like a
ability.
career year
Yeah.
type of year.
Well, he certainly expected to have that this year. There's no doubt about it. Where are we with the Giants?
Oh, boy.
Come on, Mark.
I mean, good God.
What do you want me to say?
Well,
I already know what I'm going to say. What do you want me to say?
what I would
What do you
say
expect
is
me to say?
relax. There's only one thing we can do at this point, and that's let it play
Oh,
out.
stop it, Townie.
We can't. That's all we can do, right, Mark?
No.
We can't make the moves for
No,
the
no, no.
Giants.
Okay, well, hold
Do
on.
me a favor.
If that,
Tee him up to go off because he's about this far away
won't
from
go
going.
off.
No,
Wasn't-
he's ready.
Estrada's stealing
Wasn't
bases.
AJ Pollock your idea?
yes, that was my idea.
My idea was Lance
My
Lynn.
idea.
I wanted Lance
If,
Lynn
o-
in
if,
here.
o- if only
Mine was
Pollock's,
De Jong.
if only Pollock's first swing as a Giant had been hit 3 feet further, he'd still be on the team. He flew out to the wall. No, I mean, Steiny, if we go by what you just said, when would we ever not relax? We don't ever have any control over anything.
Well, if you're not in it at all, then you don't worry about it.
Well, no, I'm like, here's what I have trouble with Giants fans is you'll get angry and want to throw in the towel, but why don't you see that you can have it both ways? I'll sit here right now and say I am beyond frustrated. The offense is absolutely unacceptable.
Flaccid.
Whatever the
Couldn't see it coming.
Of course, whatever the process is that got you here, you do not have enough good offensive players on the team.
Man.
Now, we could sit here and argue the merits of what Farhan and Gabe do in terms of baseball,
Conforto and Haniger.
but the bottom line is you're one of, I think, 5 teams in all of baseball whose attendance is down, and that's the only message you need to see right now. You are not connecting with your fan base. This does not work. This is not acceptable. The lineup is not okay. You cannot keep putting Wilmer Flores third and acting like you have a baseball team that is connected. If you're a TV show, you're about to get canceled. You have not connected with your audience.
Well,
Yes. You can still root for the postseason.
oh,
can.
yeah.
You can still root for the team that is less than a game out of the playoffs.
I
Nothing
told
like
you
it.
before the season, you'd
You
be in
can-
this spot. You would have taken it.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe we should end it there. You explained. I want you to
70 and
explain to the
68?
Well, you're
Oh,
you're
higher
a half game.
goals than that.
A half game out of the last wild card.
Is it a half or is it
What?
one? I'll look it
It's
up.
either
All I
half
know
or
is
one.
it's an exciting damn team.
Yeah.
It's super exciting.
Boy.
Mark, I want
They
you
are
to,
one. They are one
Okay, I
game
want you to-
behind the Reds and the Diamondbacks.
Man.
I want you to explain to Giants fans why you wouldn't have taken this before the season. One game out of the wild card
easy.
at this point. All
Easy.
right. Well, that's your assignment while I go to my car.
You're not-
Thanks.
On
You're not
95.7.
producing the show.
The game.
Yeah. Amy Trask joins us soon.